Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm sitting here with my little brother's 1989 Chevy K1500 build that we are currently in the process of engine swapping. So in part one, we picked up the truck. In part two, we pulled the engine out of here. A little bit of a how-to there. Today's video is not going to be so much of a how-to. We're a little limited on time. It's getting pretty cold outside. I'm going to walk you through some of the things that we've actually been going through with this truck and some of the bumps on the roads and just small things like that. But in this video, we are going to get an engine in here, and we are hopefully going to hear this thing start. So I'm really excited for that. We're going to dive in right now. Part two, I may have talked about picking up a new engine for the truck, as in a new used engine. We went out and actually picked up a used engine for this truck. So I don't want you guys to be left in the dark on this, because you just kind of live and learn on these things. But we went and picked up a used engine, and it's there was nothing wrong with the engine the guy sold us at all. Probably a good working engine, but we ended up deciding to go the crate engine route instead, and I'm going to get into that as to why we did that. But right now, we've pulled the engine completely out of the truck. I also had a series where we're pulling off the pulleys from this engine, because the used engine we had a 3-pulley setup, as this one has the serpentine belt. But with the crate engine, it's a short block, so we need all the pulleys. We need our intake actually off one of the 2 engines that we have. I'm going to walk you in the garage in a second to show you them. But yeah, this is part 3 for you guys, giving you a quick little insight. This video, we're going to be taking the crate engine, putting everything we need to on it, dropping it in there, putting everything else on it, and then hopefully we get to hear this thing fire this video. So here is engine number 1. This is the engine that actually came off of James's truck. Now, these manifolds are old manifolds. Those are junk ones. I think this engine must have been a crate engine at some point, like out of a catalog, because it has 2 different dipstick tube spots in the oil pan. So these heads may be good. The manifolds came out of this like extremely well, as you may have seen in part 2. There's no broken bolts in the head. Now, what happened was this engine is the one that came from the truck when we got it, and it just had a bad low-end noise, and we were like, all right, we're going to swap it. Now, it seemed like it made the most sense to save money and go get a used 350. I mean, these are like $500 a piece. We picked one up for about $600, so a little bit more, but nothing too crazy. I definitely need to pull this stud, too, for that pulley setup. But I'll show you the engine in the garage that we got for the truck. I'll even add in the clip of us picking it up, because it's really cool, and I want you guys to see kind of just everything we went through. So I'm going to play some clips right now of us picking up the new engine, and then we'll go in the garage and I'll show you the new engine. Right now, we are going to be doing something much more exciting, and that is picking up the new engine. So I got a tire here. We're going to be putting a Chevy 350 in the bed of my black truck. Hopefully everything goes well here, because it's a heavy engine. This is a small tire. I don't even think this tire is big enough to do anything for us, but that's okay. You know, we're just going to slap it in here. I'm riding frame on axle anyway. It's going to be fun, and well, I'm going to head over there now and go grab that engine. He's got a square body Chevy with a crane that we're lowering the engine into my truck with. I love it. This is so cool, man. Dude, look at that. That's so awesome. Well, right in the back of the Nissan. Just pulled the roof off for a quick clip, but we got the Chevy 350 in the back there. I love this thing. This is super cool. The tow truck, square body, using that to throw the engine in the back of the truck. But dude, I love it. This is a ton of fun. Well, there she goes. We're all loaded up. Got our straps on this thing. We just got to drive real slow. This is cool, man. This is a lot of fun. I can't wait to get home. And we got to do a lot of work to this, though, just in the front here. We got to change out all these pulleys to the serpentine belt like the 89 has. So that's going to be tomorrow's job. But this is a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to get this in the truck. All right, so here is the Chevy 350 all stripped down that we just picked up from the man with the square body who loaded in the back. And like I said, everything, like, he sold us a good engine. Everything is good there. But what discouraged us from using this one is, unfortunately, when we pulled out the exhaust manifold bolts, so many of them snapped in the heads, and even on this side, one head snapped just flush. Like, you know, so the amount of time we're going to put into working on extracting those or drilling them out, and if we were to get heads, you know, we could buy used heads, or we could buy new heads, like aluminum heads, you know, upgrade it, this and that. Or honestly, it seemed like the best thing we could do right now is put this on the side. This might be used in my old man's 89 Chevy at some point. He might get new heads for it and throw this in his truck. I don't know. The possibilities are endless with this engine. But for right now, to keep things simple and make sense and keep them short, we're going to get the short block, a brand new short block for James's truck, which is actually going to come in today. So it's been like maybe 4 or 5 days since I filmed last. I had a whole hour part series of us taking everything off this engine, everything off the other engine, and kind of starting to like swap things over. and that video gets scrapped. You can do a lot of things on social media to fake this and that, but honestly, I'd rather keep it real with you guys so you know what we're going on. You know what I mean? Not everything's always perfect when you're working on cars, and that's okay. We could have made this work 100%, but the other engine has some snap bolts in the intake manifold and stuff, so to save these heads and to make this way less time consuming and to just get something in James's truck that's going to be reliable and make sense, the best bet was the brand new short block. But we need to take this intake manifold off one of the two engines, probably this one, because none of these bolts have snapped in the head yet. So we got to take this intake manifold and put that on the new short block, and pretty much it. We're going to take the throttle body off the 89 engine, because this one's an 87 engine, and that's going to go on here. Kind of some insight on that situation, but I will see you guys when the new short block gets here. It's cool to see the crate engine, though, seeing it come in this literal big plastic crate, but looking good. Can't wait to get it out here. So just to give you a quick look, this is the crate engine. It's just in the box right now. Right down here, this is the one-piece rear main seal this engine has. I'm going to step outside for a second and show you guys the rear main seal difference on the engine we took out of the truck. As to the engine that came out of James's truck originally has a two-piece rear main seal. As you can see, we got this much different looking styled plate back here. The other one's just perfectly round. Now, the only reason I mention that is actually one good thing that we get to keep off of this engine is the fact that this one had a flywheel for the one-piece rear main seal, and the crate engine didn't come with a new flywheel, so thankfully we get to use the flywheel that came with this engine originally, which doesn't save us a ton of money, but it's nice that we don't have to wait on ordering a new flywheel and waiting for it to come in. Sweet. So we just use the pulley puller to pull off this harmonic balancer that needs to go onto that engine. We got to clean up the intake manifold a bit, just get all these surfaces prepped for all the new gaskets to go up on there, and make sure dirt doesn't fall into any crevices that we don't want it in. But other than that, everything's looking pretty good for this. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if I'll be out here or not to film the process of us getting all of these gaskets and everything on, but should be bad. It's good to see the intake on and even the exhaust manifold on there now. Bolting on the little ETR stuff, just kind of getting it all together right now. I'm gonna put the engine mounts on the flywheel on the engine once we lift it up, and then we're gonna come over here and drop the engine in place. Once it's in place, I'm gonna slide in my motor mount bolts. I just cut it off by myself. Happy about that. And once the engine gets down here, it's basically just reassembly time. So I'll just kind of walk you guys through us putting it back together, even though you saw us take it apart, just because why not? But not much to this video. Just kind of like taking you guys along with me. Not really too much of a how-to either. How it's looking so far. Harmonic balancer on. Exhaust manifolds are going on. Putting the engine mounts up on here. Looking promising so far. Time to get this thing all set up in the truck. Should be easy. We just got to line up these little pins down here. We've changed over all of our sensors, just little things. Wasn't going to bore you all with that, but we just got to get it in there, set it down, get our engine mounts set in place, and we'll be good to go. Well, that is a beautiful sight to see. The new Chevy 350 is in place. Now what we got to go do is go down below and start running these bell housing bolts. Well, we're back under here now. I'm going to send in our bell housing bolts. We got 1, 2, 1 up top on this side, and then it goes 1, 2, 3 down the side for bell housing bolts that mount the transmission to the engine. Once I do that, we're going to put on the torque converter bolts. So there's 3 there. Then there's a big shield that goes over the torque converter. We got some new studs up in the exhaust manifold, so that's going to make putting that back together so much easier. I'll just have to pull these ones out of here, or maybe they snapped. I don't know. We'll get to it when we get there, but just kind of fighting to get these bell housing bolts in, and once that's done, everything should be a little bit easier for us. It is actually so nice. The bell housing bolts are so accessible without the distributor or anything in the way on the back half of the engine. Look at that. Ready? Nice and tight. Beautiful. Now my fuel line bracket would sit up on there. I got a nut to go on the other end of that stud, but everything is looking really good right now. So right now, tightening up the starter, then I'm going to tighten the torque converter bolts. I got to put them in, actually. And then we're going to put some oil in the oil filter so we can prime the engine for its first start. Everything is so clean under here. So something I actually had to do real quick is we were fighting it for a minute, but it finally came free. The torque converter had to get sucked over to the flywheel, so I had to put a pry bar back here and pull it forward. Finally, it moved, so now I can actually send all of the bolts in accordingly with some thread locker, and we will be good. So just got 3 bolts to put up here. Those are all tightened up. Now we're gonna put on this big cover that goes here, and life will be good. Then I'll work on the exhaust. We gotta cut out these little studs because we already have fresh new ones up above there, see? So I can just put nuts on it once we cut these little extra ones off. All right, we're making progress. All of those are tightened up on each side. Next step is cutting off these studs. That way I can just slide it up there and get out of here for the night. And I actually don't think there's really anything else I need to get under here to do after that, which will be pretty sick. All right, guys, check that out. We got the exhaust all tightened up. I am so excited to get out from underneath of here. Not a lot to show you guys, just because it's hard to hold the camera while being upside down. But good to see it all done. Can't wait to get up top. Well, here we are. We got all of our bolts and studs and nuts sitting back here that need to go back in James's truck. All this goes on the front of the engine. Being that it's an 89, it runs a serpentine belt instead of 3 separate belts. So this is one big bracket. Gonna take this, drop it in the truck, and get it all bolted up. So right over here is the water pump we got to throw up on the engine, and it's still got gaskets, so I got to take these bolts out, clean this up with a razor blade, and all I'm going to do is throw new gaskets on it with a little bit of sealant, and it's going to plug right into these holes. I'm going to do that now. I've just gotten this mounted up. It was just like 2 bolts to hold it in place for now, so that's not going anywhere. And just going to take my time working this thing on. All right, guys, as you can see there, we've gotten our gaskets and some silicone on there. And it's just going to plug into some ports right up there. So I'm going to take this now and drop this water pump right in place. So we're going to be real careful, take our time, make sure our bolts line up, which it should. It's pretty simple stuff. And I'm going to take this bracket out because the water pump has to go on first. All right, now that I've just quickly removed that whole bracket, now we can start our bolts and send this water pump on. I did not realize this would have to go on first, but it makes sense. So we've attached the crankshaft pulley. I've tightened up the tensioner. I just found this hose. This needs to plug into our heater core back here, and then it actually will just kind of snap in place inside of that little aluminum slot. So we'll do that right now. And then I gotta attach it to the heater core, so that gives us that hose. I got a ground strap on the back of the engine I need to run somewhere on the firewall. I've attached our grounds down here. And I gotta find a new nut to attach our fan. So we're definitely making that progress right now. So I've just pulled off the valve cover. We had to take it off to fit in this little bolt back here. We learned that when we took the engine all apart. But now we are tightening up the pump for the AC. Well, we're getting some of the wiring harness bolted down right now. We're finishing up the bracket there's a little bracket stabilizer for this AC pump as well. I guess I'll have to get a second bolt in there and tighten this up. But I think all of our pulleys are on the truck. I just need to find another nut that matches this one so it's all balanced and we can slap the fan on, which is just these 4 little nuts right here. But right before I get there, I'm going to slap on our upper radiator hose. So attaches right there to the thermostat housing and right to the radiator, which is real simple. Now we just gotta tighten down these hose clamps on each side. Belt and fan on here now, so that's all looking good. What we're going to do next is start working up here and get our throttle body put in place. That's going to be really nice to get in here. Look at that, nice and clean, nice and clean. Just gotta take this and drop it on. So now I've gotten the fuel lines attached right at the rear of the throttle body. We've gotten the throttle body tightened down. We got a coil pack in place. This bracket is mounted with all of our cables in order. Now what we got to do is I'm just gonna ground that strap right to the back of the firewall there, and I just gotta run a harness, and I could probably honestly hop out of here after that. I don't think there's a lot more to do. We could add coolant to the system, but realistically, like there's just not a lot left. So that's a nice feeling. Well, we've gotten a lot done today on James's truck. There's a couple little issues over here and there. Just a couple small things that we got to tie up on the truck. But the engine's in. The harness is pretty much plugged in now. We got to prime the engine first, drop the distributor in, then get it timed. I don't think I'm going to be here for that, unfortunately. Like I said, this isn't a how-to. This is just kind of showing you guys what we got going on. It's just getting cold, and we want to get this thing on the road in the next, hopefully day or so. But it's pretty much it right this second. Just going to push in the garage, tie up a couple small things in the morning, And once the distributor's in place, I mean, we'll be able to hear it start for the first time. So that'd be really cool. James is pushing us. Oh, sorry. We lost our momentum there. What's up, guys? New day. Garage door is opening up. Sitting here with the truck. Wearing my greasiest sweatshirt because we're gonna get dirty working in this thing. But we're gonna hop in here now. Just got little things to tie up today. I can probably film a little bit more now that it's not so cold. And yeah, we're gonna hop in here and show you guys what we got going on. So to start off right off the back, I think we're gonna have James get a new alternator. This one last night, as I was tightening it, there's like a nut that's supposed to be in the alternator that came loose or something. And just to save time, we're just gonna probably have him pick up a new one. Back there is the wiring harness and kind of leaning all over around the exhaust. It's just like so sporadically out where it shouldn't be. We have some brackets somewhere back here. You can hear them. And basically on the back of the head, there's going to be some spots for bolts to go. And I can basically bolt up the back of the harness bracket, keep it up away from, you know, all the heat, and you just make it look a little cleaner. A couple little things that need to get plugged in, but today really isn't looking that bad. And then later on, we just got to time it. So that shouldn't be too bad. I'm not going to get into how to time it, though. And honestly, it's looking like a really easy day. Thankfully, they are all fresh bolts and nuts on the exhaust, because I actually have to take this pipe off and reroute my starter harness on the other side of the pipe. So a little frustrating, but not the end of the world. It's just because this wire should not be touching the manifold, and it has nowhere else to go. It's just going to get too hot here, as opposed to if I ran it out and behind the pipe, I can bring it down lower and not have to worry about it as much. All right, now that the exhaust is fully unbolted, I can yank this down and move this big harness right up here underneath the manifold, which is pretty interesting. Just made my new ground as well. This is gonna bolt right up here on the intake manifold. We already have a nut in place and everything, so that's super nice. James rolling in now. I'm excited to hear his truck start for the first time, so that'll be pretty cool. But then we won't have to daily this anymore. This gets to be the fun car. Now they've unplugged the coil pack. We'll just turn it over, get it primed up. Get some oil moving through this thing. Turn it over. Wow. First time hearing it run. This is exciting. Let's go, baby. Sounds good. This is sick. Definitely worth all the work. Clean, new engine. That's exciting. Well, all right, guys. Like I said, I apologize that it wasn't as much of a how-to video, or we didn't maybe do as much wrenching as I would have liked to in this part. But I'm very excited to have seen this thing fire. That is such a W for us. I mean, that really is just so awesome. Some stuff I'm going to have going on in part 4 is you're going to get the fan shroud put up on here, and we got to change out a sensor on the side of the block there, and a couple other small things. Get the air intake all back on there. A couple other things. We want to make sure this truck is getting proper oil pressure, so the sending unit might be bad in this. The alternator is also definitely bad, but these are all things that we're going to work on next video, so I think I'm going to close it out here. I usually don't make a big part 4, but in part 4, hopefully we're going to see James register this thing and go for a ride in it. See if the truck needs anything else. I mean, there's other things that could still go wrong. We just knew it had a knock in the engine, and super excited to see this new Chevy 350 crate engine in here now. Very happy to hear it run. So if you guys want to see some more content on the channel, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and peace out.